At the Gu family banquet in front of more than 20 relatives, Ganyang pushed a transfer receipt of 8 million yuan in front of me and said, China Sumin clears throat, is in urgent need of money. I've already transferred it from your Dowry account. Don't make a fuss about it. Mother-in-law Xiao Yu immediately picked up a piece of fish and put it into Swan's bowl, smiling at me. Once a woman gets married, the money becomes the family's money. Chang Yan's first love is in trouble. As his wife, you should be more magnanimous. I didn't argue. I just took off the wedding ring on my finger and placed it on the table. At the same time, I also turned off the monthly automatic household subsidy deduction from the Gu family. The sound of me removing the ring was very quiet, but that sound landed on the edge of the porcelain plate, and the whole table fell silent for a moment. Ganyang frowned at me. Lu Chinga, what do you mean by this? I didn't look at him, only at the transfer. Receipt on the table. 8 million recipient. Mansion art space note. Venue expansion. And debt settlement. That is my dowry account on my wedding day. All the jewelry, cash, fund shares, and a term deposit left by my mother were included in the dowry. Genjiang personally signed the prenuptial agreement, which clearly stated, the dowry before marriage is my personal property, and any transfer requires my written authorization. He held my hand and said, Chinga, I'm marrying you, not your money. Now he sits opposite me in a tailored. He is in a suit with a cold and detached look in his eyes, as if he has merely taken away one rarely used umbrella from the family. Suman sits next to him wearing a cream-colored dress and a string of pearl necklace around her neck. I am very familiar with that necklace the day before the wedding. My mother's old friend, Ling Jing, personally brought it over, saying it was one of the dowries she left to me before she passed away. The Nanyong pearl. Each bead is uniform and spotless with a small character carved on the inside of the clasp. I look up at Suman. She immediately lowers her eyes and her fingers lightly brush the necklace. Sister Chinga, don't misunderstand. Her voice is very soft. I didn't want Chengyang to help at first, but the gallery really can't hold on. Chengyang said, You're his wife. You'll surely understand. I smile a little. What do I understand? Grandmother Xiao Yu puts the chopsticks down on the table, understanding the deep affection and loyalty, understanding how hard it is for a woman like man to hustle outside. Your Li family brought so much dowry. It's just sitting in the bank. What's wrong with taking it out to help others? My sister-in-law Juaran continues. Sister-in-law, don't you usually not work? Everything in the house, the food and daily needs are earned by my brother. Now my brother helps a friend with some money and you put on a look of disdain. So ugly. I look at her last month who paid the down payment when you bought the car. Jiren's face stiffened. Xiaoyu Mei immediately glared at me. As a family, what's the point of being so clear about things? I nodded. Okay, then today we'll settle it clearly. Gaian's face sank. Lu Chinga, don't make a scene in front of the relatives. The money is only borrowed temporarily. Once Suman Gallery's cash flow improves, I'll have her return it. Borrowed. I picked up that receipt. Have I signed? Gue Chanyang paused for a second. That was the 1 second when the last bit of hope in my heart vanished. He averted his eyes from mine. Between spouses, there's no need to separate things. So precisely. My phone vibrated under the table. The screen lit up. A hang bank risk control reminder. Ms. Liu, an amount exceeding transfer occurred from your premarital asset account at 1540 today. The authorization documents show anomalies. Please confirm whether this operation was performed by you. I finished reading the text and placed my phone on the table. Xiao Yu was still speaking. Qingha, don't rely on your natal family giving you a bit of money to pressure Qingyang. Men hate women who are petty and small-minded. Man and Chengyang used to have feelings for each other, but that's in the past. Her health is poor now. Her career is difficult. If we lend a hand, it's a good deed. Past. I looked at Ju Qingyang. Then why is she wearing my dowry? Swan's hand pressed forcefully against her neck. Genjiang also looked over and his eyes flashed. For a moment, he obviously knows. He knew that string of pearls was mine, but he still gave them to her. Swan's eyes instantly reened. I'm sorry. I didn't know these were yours. Changyang said he bought them and that I needed a decent piece of jewelry for the opening of the exhibition. I really didn't know. After she finished speaking, the tears happened to fall. Jiao Chenyang immediately handed over a tissue. Qingher, enough. It's just a string of necklace. Don't make her feel embarrassed. I looked at the hand he was extending the tissue with 3 years into our marriage. I had a stomach ache in the middle of the night, and he only told me to take medicine myself. Suman shed a tear, and his tone even softened. I suddenly felt that this marriage was absurdly ridiculous. I didn't slam the table, and I didn't curse anyone. I just opened my phone and clicked into the family account deduction page in front of everyone. Cancel the old house property management fee. Cancel the Xiao Beauty salon membership renewal. Cancel the Guaran car loan deduction. Temporary turnover authorization for Gu Changjian's company. Frozen with each cancellation. There was one more moment of quiet at the table. Jiao Qingyang saw my movement and sprang to his feet. Lu Qingga, are you crazy? I looked up at him. Isn't this money for the family? Then you should spend your own money yourselves. Xiao Yes' face flushed with anger. You dare cut off the Gouet family's money. I turned the phone. She turned the screen toward her. I cut off my money. Suman bit her lip and whispered, Qingyang, perhaps I should return the necklace to Sister Qingga so that I don't affect your marriage. She stretched out her hand to take off the necklace, but couldn't unfasten the clasp for a long time. That move was slow, as if she was waiting for Jiao Qingyang to stop her. Sure enough, Jiao Qingyang firmly grabbed her hand. Don't return it. He looked at me, his voice cold and firm. Lu Qingha, if you're going to make a big fuss today, don't blame me for reconsidering this marriage. A table full of relatives gasped. Someone whispered, Chenyi has said so much, and she still won't back down. Another person advised me, Qingga, a woman shouldn't be so stubborn. If you divorce, will you still find a family like the Gu? I sat on the chair and didn't move 3 years ago. I also thought the Gu. I arranged medical exams for my mother-in-law, paid off my younger sister, invited temporary funds for Gu Chongyan's company. When the Gu family relatives came to borrow money, I was afraid of embarrassing him and never rejected them in person. I thought that was the mutual support in marriage. Now I understand that they only took my silence for granted and my dignity as a sign of weakness. I picked up my bag and stood up. Giu Qingyang, before reconsidering the marriage, returned my 8 million and that string of pearls. He sneered, Do you have to look so ugly? I looked at him. What I want is not compensation for the humiliation. I pointed to the pearls around Suman's neck. She is wearing my dowry and sitting beside my husband, making me look so generous. After saying that, I turned around and walked away behind me. Giu Qingyang took 2 steps towards me. Lu Qingha, if you walk out of this door today, don't regret it. I stopped at the door and looked back at him. The one who will regret is not me. After walking out of the Gu family's old mansion, I dialed Ling Jing's phone. She seemed to have been waiting for my call. Qingha, the risk control system has already flagged an abnormal authorization. The signature on the document doesn't look like yours. I clutched my phone tightly. Can you preserve it? Ling Jing said, Yes, but you have to be mentally prepared. This isn't a single transfer. In the past 6 months, your Dowry account has been accessed 7 times. The night wind brushed against my face, and I suddenly became terrifyingly sober 7 times. It wasn't a momentary impulse. It wasn't a temporary emergency. It was a deliberate act of emptying the account. I looked at the darkening sky and whispered, Aunt Ling, I'll go to the bank tomorrow. She was silent for a moment. One more thing. The person who submitted the authorization documents this afternoon. The registered contact is your mother-in-law. I closed my eyes when I opened them again. There were no tears in my eyes, only cold determination. At 9:00, the next morning, I arrived at the headquarters of Heheng Bank on time. Jiao Qingyang called me 17 times. I didn't pick up any of them. Finally, he sent a message. If you're done causing a scene, come home. Suman cried all night last night. You should apologize to her. I looked at that sentence and almost burst out laughing. He stole my money. She wore my jewelry in the end. The one who needed to apologize was me. The elevator reached the 28th floor, and Ling Jing was already waiting. At the door, she was wearing a black suit with her hair neatly pulled back. When she saw me, there was a fleeting look of pity in her eyes, but it quickly gave way to professionalism. Qinghai, all the materials are in the meeting room. I nodded. First, look at the flow of funds. The conference room door closed. Lin Jing pushed a thick stack of documents in front of me. The first transfer, 2 million, went into a related account of Guinea's company with the remark project deposit. The second payment, 960,000, was for the rental of Summer Gallery. The third payment, 300,000, was transferred to Sunman's private account with the note medical liquidity. The fourth payment, 200,000, was used to purchase partial ownership of the shop where Manshire Art Space is located. The fifth payment, 500,000, was for the gallery opening publicity. The sixth installment, 800,000, was for redeeming the pledged jewelry. The seventh installment was the 8 million from last night. I flipped through page by page. Each installment had an authorization document. On every authorization document, the name Lu Chinga was signed, but that was not my handwriting. I write the last stroke of the character, he with a gentle upward flick, because when I was a child, my mother said that in a name that includes he, the ending should rise like a wheat ear. These signatures press the final stroke down heavily, as if imitating on purpose, but only the form was learned. Lin Jing pointed to the bottom right corner of the document. There is a scanned upload record here. The authorization document was not handled at the counter. It was submitted by Gu Chang's company finance through the enterprise collaboration channel because you signed a family contingency fund authorization after marriage. The system initially approved it. I looked up family contingency fund authorization is limited to 500,000. Ling Jing nodded. So risk control flagged it as abnormal after the third transaction. But Genjiang provided additional information saying you have long been unable to attend in person, and the family assets are being managed by him. Your mother-in-law also added a supplemental family relationship certificate as a contact. A relationship certificate. Lin Jing handed me another set of documents. It is a copy of the Gu family household registration booklet, plus a handwritten note. It says, after marriage, daughter in Lu Chinga has been cared for by the Gu and personal property is to be managed by her husband, Jiao Qingyang. Transfer of funds should be decided by the couple after consultation. The closing signature Xiao Yu. I press my finger on that line of words 3 years after marriage. Every time I bought medicine for my mother-in-law, accompanied her for medical checkups, and helped her with insurance, she would hold my hand and say, China, you're more thoughtful than my own daughter. So, in her eyes, I am so thoughtful that even my personal property can be uniformly planned by them. Lin Jing said, Qingha, these materials can be used for internal review or for preserving judicial evidence, but you must decide first whether to go through the formal process. I did not hesitate. Go. Lin Jing looked at me. You've thought it through. Once you enter the process, Zhu Qingyang will know your identity at Hiang. I fell silent for a few seconds. Hiang Bank is not something I boast about. That is the foundation my mother built throughout her life. I did mention it after I got married because Jiao Qingyang once said he didn't like too many intertwined interests between husband and wife. He said, Qinga, I hope we are just us, not a resource swap between the Lu family and the Gu family. I believed him. So I only told him that my mother left me some financial assets and did not say that I was the ultimate beneficiary of Hehang Holdings Trust. Ganyang thought I was just a Ms. Gu with a bit of Dowry and a mild temperament. That is also why he dared to make a move. He thought I wouldn't look it up. He thought even if I looked it up, I wouldn't understand. He thought even if I understood it, I wouldn't be willing to leave him. I closed the file. He will find out sooner or later. Lin Jing nodded and pushed an evidence preservation application towards me. Sign here. This time I signed my name myself. The last stroke of the character, he lightly flicked upward after leaving the bank. I didn't look back and go home. Instead, I went to the wedding house. The house was my premarital property. and Zhu Chenyang moved in after the marriage. In the master bedroom wardrobe, his suits occupied 2/3 of the space. There was a bottle of perfume on the bedside that Suman gave him, and its bottle was engraved with 2 letters, SM. I had seen it before. Ganyang said it was a brand limited edition, and it just happened to be the model abbreviation. Now that I think about it, I was really willing to deceive myself. I opened the safe in the study. There were 3 items inside: a prenuptial agreement, a dowry list, and records of loans from Gu relatives in these 3 years. Whenever anyone from the Gu took money, they all said it was just for cash flow and would be repaid within at most a month. I was afraid Gue Qingyang would be stuck in the middle and have a hard time, so I had them write IOUs, but I never pressed for repayment. Now those papers finally had a use. I took photos of the documents one by one for backup, then put them into a waterproof file bag. Just after I locked the safe, there was a sound of the door opening outside. Genjiang had returned. He saw me standing in the study, and his expression eased a little. I knew you would come back. I didn't speak. He walked in his tone fatigued about last night. My mom spoke rudely, but you shouldn't have humiliated her in public either. I've already smoothed things over with Suman, and she'll find a chance to return the necklace to you. Looking for an opportunity. I looked at him. Take it off now. Is it difficult? Ganyang frowned. She has an investor meeting tomorrow and can't afford to lose face. I laughed. So, my stuff is lent to her to prop up her face first. His expression called. Lu Chinga, you weren't like this before. You used to be very sensible. I didn't check the accounts before. He suddenly froze. I showed him the first scrolling screenshot on my phone. 7 transfers, 3 forged signatures, 1 your mother's statement. Ganyang, you explain. His expression finally changed. Not guilt. It was anger after being caught. Are you going to the bank to check on me? Check my money. I am your husband. A husband isn't a power of attorney. He stared at me, flames burning in his eyes. I'll pay back the money. Do you have to shame me in this way? I looked at him, and suddenly I felt that the person in front of me was extremely unfamiliar. Ganyang, when you transferred my Dowry to Swan, did you ever think that it was also a humiliation? He was silent a few seconds later. He said, Suman is not like you. She doesn't rely on anyone. I nodded. So you stole my money and gave her something to rely on. He pulled off his tie in impatience. I picked up the file bag. Don't put it so harshly. I'm just borrowing it. Then treat it as a loan. Repay the principal, interest, and the jewels within 3 days. Ganyang sneered. 3 days. Lu Chinga, you know full well the company can't turn over right now. That's your business. I bypassed him and walked outside. He grabbed my wrist in one go. What exactly do you want? I looked down at his hand. Let go. He didn't let go. Don't push me. I looked up. Ganyang, I've already notified the bank to preserve evidence. The more you hold me now for another second, the more personal restrictions I'll add. His hand suddenly released when I reached the door. He gritted his teeth and said, Behind me, you will regret it. Without the Gu family backing you, do you think you can live so decently? I turned to look at him. Giu Chengyang, it seems you've forgotten. I shook the file bag in my hand. These 3 years, dignity is what I'm giving you. On the 3rd night, Xiao Yu called me personally. Her voice wasn't as aloof as usual. She said, Chingy, go back to the old house once, and we'll clear up the misunderstanding. I asked, what misunderstanding? She paused for a moment. About money. I didn't promise right away. She added another sentence. All the relatives are here. If you don't come, everyone will think you're guilty. I laughed. Okay, I'll go. After hanging up, I turned on the phone's voice recording and sent Xu Xiang my location again. Xu Shitang is my college classmate and a divorce lawyer. She replied, Don't sign anything by yourself. Don't drink the water they offer you. Take photos of all the papers and send them to me. I simply replied with an MM. When we reached the Jiu family's old residence, the living room was indeed filled with people. Xiao Yu Mei sat in the main seat. Jiu Chengyang stood by the window, and Suman was also there. Her face was pale as if she had endured a great grievance. Jiu Xiaoan saw me and rolled her eyes. Sis-in-law, you finally come. The whole family has been in a tizzy for days over this little matter of yours. Are you satisfied?" I ignored her and sat down in the spot closest to the door. Xiao Yumei pushed a document over. "Qingha," in Clear's throat, the end. "This is a family matter. Chengyang took money to help a friend, not to gamble or spend recklessly. If you go to the bank making a scene, it will reflect badly on the Gu family and on you." I read the document title, Consent, a Voluntary Gift. It states that I voluntarily donate part of the funds from my prenuptial dowry account to my husband Zhu Qingyang for use, and that I understand the funds will ultimately be used for the operation of Suman Art Space with no legal responsibility to be pursued. I almost laughed out of anger. They've even thought of a way out. I picked up the pen. Giu Qingyang clearly let out a sigh of relief. Xiao Yumei also showed a smile. "This is right. A marriage doesn't hold a grudge overnight. You sign, and Qingyang will remember your kindness in the future." I paused the tip of the pen on the page. "Before I sign, I have a few questions." Xiao Mei was impatient. "You ask." I looked at Zhu Qingyang. "Were the 7 transfer something you arranged?" He frowned. "I'm the one who arranged the financial processing. Where's the signature?" He avoided my gaze. "The finance department said the process was necessary. I thought it was just a formality." I nodded, then looked at Xiaoyu. "Was the instruction about the family asked? Is it being unified and planned by your husband and written by you?" Xiaoyu Mei's face stiffens. "I am your mother-in-law. What's wrong with helping explain the family situation? Do you know that is my premarital property?" Her voice rises sharply. "Marrying into the Gu. What's the point of distinguishing premarital or postmarital?" I do not argue, and keep asking. "Suman, do you know the money comes from my dowry account?" Suman immediately shakes her head. "I don't know. Chengyang only said it was his money." I look at her neck today. She does not wear that pearl necklace, but she has an extra jade bangle on her wrist. It is also part of my dowry list. I directly ask, "Then this bangle, did Jiu Qingyang also buy it for you?" Her face instantly drains of color. Jiu Qingyang turns his head to look at her. "Swan." Swan's tears come again. "I really don't know. I thought it was a gift from Chengyang." I nod gently. "So, you really don't know anything." Then I set the pen down and take a photo of the document. Xiao Yes face changes. "Why are you filming?" "Show it to the lawyer." "Lu Qingga." She stands up abruptly. "Are you messing with us?" I look at her. "Didn't you call me here to clear up the misunderstanding? It's cleared up now. The money was transferred by Zhu Qingyang, which shows you wrote it. Sumin took the money and also the jewelry. Pretty clear." The living room is dead silent, and Uncle whispers, "If this really is pursued, would Chengyang be in trouble?" Xiao Yu glared at me immediately. "Shut up." Jiu Chengyang walked up to me and lowered his voice. "Qingha, don't take extreme measures on this. If you sign, I can promise you that I won't interfere with Swan from now on." I looked at him. "Do you still think the problem lies in whether you control her or not?" He opened his eyes irritably and then closed them again. "Then what do you want? Do you want me to kneel and beg you?" Swan stood up abruptly. "Sister Qing, please don't put pressure on Chengyang. It's all my fault. I'll leave." She walked out as she spoke, her steps unsteady. Giu Qingyang instinctively chased after her to support her. At that moment, all the relatives looked at me. Some pitied Swan. Some said I was cold-blooded. Some people were waiting for me to break down. But I didn't. I just picked up my bag and stood up. "Ganyang, if you help her out now, don't say you're just friends with her." His hand froze in midair. Suman's eyes were teary as she looked at him. Jiu Qingyang finally steadied her. "She's not feeling well." I smiled. "Got it." I turned and walked outside. Xiaoyu Mei shouted angrily from behind. "Lu Qingga, if you dare to leave today, don't think about stepping into the Gu family's door ever again." I paused for a moment. "Don't worry. I hadn't planned to come in anyway." Back in the car, I sent the recording file to Shuji Tang. She replied quickly, "That's enough. The gift deed can also prove that they are aware of the nature of the funds. Next step, don't talk about feelings. Talk about recouping the losses." I looked at the lights of the Gu family's old house outside the window 3 years ago. I came here for the first time, and Xiaoyu took my hand to introduce me to the relatives. This is the fortune of our Gu family. Now, when they find that the fortune won't be exploited by bloodsuckers, they start calling me ruthless. The phone vibrated again. Genjiang sent a message. Sumin has collapsed. Are you satisfied? I didn't reply. In the next moment, Sumin's Moments was updated. In the photo, she lies on a hospital bed with an 4 plugged into the back of her hand. Caption: some kindness will ultimately hurt another woman. Sorry, I should not have come back then. A bunch of people comforted her. Guaran commented, some people are rich but heartless. Really disgusting. I stared at that Wechathat Moments for a few seconds and saved a screenshot. Then I texted Ling Jing. Check Sumin's hospitalization payment account. 10 minutes later, Ling Jing replied to me. The last 4 digits of the payment card are 0627 from the supplementary card linked to your Dowry account. I laughed. Even the money she spent while pretending to be sick in the hospital was mine. I truly began to withdraw on the morning of the 4th day first. Cancel all associated secondary cards linked to the GU family. Second, freeze the temporary credit materials submitted in my name by Gu Chongyan's company over the past year. Third, send loan. CI sent confirmation letters to Gu relatives one by one within half an hour of sending the text. Xiaoyu Mei's phone rang nonstop. I answered the first call. She nearly screamed on the other end. Lu Qingga, why can't my beauty club membership be renewed? Are you deliberately making me look bad? I turned on hands-free and continued organizing the documents. You can pay for it yourself. Where would I get the money? Didn't you arrange everything before? That was then. She choked briefly and immediately changed her tone. Qingga, I know you're not feeling well inside, but how can a family really tally accounts? First, restore your card, and when Changyang comes back, I'll have him smooth things over with you. I said, no need for soothing, just repay the money. She was angry again. Is money all you see in my eyes? I stopped moving. When you spend money, you only see money too, right? She hung up in anger. 5 minutes later, Guyan called. Sister-in-law, why did my car loan default? The bank says if I don't make up the payment today, it will affect my credit. Are you crazy? Does my brother know about this? You can ask your brother. My brother's company is so busy. Are you going to quibble over this small amount of money? 720,000 in petty money. You keep it yourself. Guaran was stunned. What's 720,000? I looked at the count book. Down payment for the car is 300,000. Insurance 60,000. And last year, I modified the amount from 120,000 to 2,400,000 to repay the loan. The IOU is in my hand. Her voice suddenly softened. Sister-in-law, we are all family. Yesterday you said I was rich but heartless. She fell silent. I hung up the phone next to Uncle Ju Chengyang, my cousin and my aunt. Everyone starts off with a tough stance after hearing the loan amount and the receipts. They all softened again. Some said they would repay immediately. Some asked for an extension. Others, on the contrary, cursed me for being calculating, as if I kept track of favors among relatives like accounts. I always only respond with one sentence. Repay within 30 days or legal action will be taken for default in the afternoon. Genjiang finally came back when he pushed the door open. I was having the moving company inventory. His belongings, his suit, tie, watch, and documents were stacked box after box at the doorway. His face immediately darkened. Lu Qingga, what are you up to this time? I handed the checklist to the moving worker. Send these to Mr. Goose Company. Guyu Qingyang grabbed the list in one move. This is my house. This is my pre-marriage property. He laughed grimly in anger. So now you want to settle even the house with me? Yes. I looked up at him. The costs for renovating the wine cellar after you moved in were deducted from my account. You can either restore it to its original state or be compensated with a discount. He stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. When did you become so cold-blooded? I thought for a moment. From the moment you gave my dowry to Swan. A flicker of irritation crossed Jiu Chang's face. I said I would return it. When awaiting the company's project payment after the project payment comes in, Should it be paid to me first or to Su Man for the remainder of the painting exhibition? He fell silent. Silence is the answer. I pushed a document to him. This is a formal notice of recovery. Within 3 days, you and Su Man must jointly return the transferred funds, jewelry, and the interest that has occurred. Otherwise, I will report to the police. And Su, when he saw the words police, his eyes changed. Lu Chinga, how dare you? You can give it a try. He slammed the documents onto the table. Are you trying to push me to my death? The company's cash flow is tight now, and the bank has gone nuts and suddenly frozen the credit line. Are you causing a scene now to make me go bankrupt? I looked at him. Why did the bank freeze it? Don't you know? He paused for a moment. What do you mean? You used forged authorization documents to apply for fund transfers, triggering risk control. It's not that the bank went crazy. You overstepped. His complexion lightened a bit, but soon his anger returned. You know nothing about bank risk control. Don't use these to scare me. I didn't explain. Not the time yet. Jiu Qingyang sat down on the sofa and rubbed his brow, and his tone suddenly softened. Chinga, let's not be like this. We've been married for 3 years. I know you love me. You're just jealous. Right. You mind Su Man. I'll see her less in the future. I looked at his face. I really did love him back then when he was going through the toughest times of starting a business. I ate instant box meals with him, took care of him in the hospital corridors when he had a fever, and when he was humiliated by a partner, I stood up and shielded him with a drink. It's not that I never loved anyone. It's just that I love the Ganyang from back then who would hand me the last cup of hot soy milk, not the man who now steals my dowry and makes me apologize to his Bai Yuang. Ganyang, I said, I'm not jealous. He looked up. What is that? That's disgusting. His complexion instantly turned pale. Good, very good. Lu Chinga, you have backbone. Then let's divorce. I nodded. Okay. He noticeably froze, perhaps in his expectations. The divorce was the knife he used to scare me. He thought I would cry, beg, and yield, but I only took out the divorce agreement I had long prepared from the folder. This is the first draft. You can read it. Giu Qingyang did not take it. His gaze shifted from anger to disbelief. Had you prepared it long ago, since that night at the family dinner? He suddenly let out a laugh. You're tough. I placed the agreement on the coffee table, not as dirty as you. He suddenly stood up as if ready to lose his temper. His PH1 rang at this moment. He picked up the phone, and after a few seconds, his expression changed. The voice on the other end was urgent. I could hear it vaguely and in fragments. President Gu Hibing Bank has sent a risk notice asking us to provide a clearer explanation of our funding sources. If we can't explain it clearly, other partner banks may follow suit as well. Ganyang hung up the phone and fixed his gaze on me. Did you do it? I calmly replied. You did it yourself. Suman's art exhibition invitation came by express delivery. It was a black and gold hard with hot stamped gold font. The theme was titled after the reunion. The invitee line read, Swan and Ju Qingyang. It wasn't Munsa Art Space. It wasn't a sponsor. It was the two of their names listed together. I watched for a few seconds and placed the invitation into the evidence bag. Xu Xiang sat opposite me, flipping through the documents, and let out a cold laugh. She's afraid you won't go, I said. She wants me to see that she won. Xu Xiang looked up. Then are you going? Go. I put Sumin's hospital admission payment receipts, gallery lease contracts, and storefront purchase vouchers together. She spends my money to hold the exhibition. Of course, I have to go and inspect it. Shuji Tong laughed. Now that suits you. I did not smile in the past few days. I feel as if I am slowly peeling away the past 3 years of my marriage. With each layer peeled, a new wound emerges. Jiu Qingyang is not just a rescue in emergencies. He had been laying the groundwork for Suman long before. 6 months ago, he started coming home late frequently, saying the company had a new project during that period. I thought he was under a lot of pressure, so I proactively arranged therapy for his mother, paid off his sister's car loan, and even withdrew an amount from a term deposit to put into the family emergency fund. It was also then that Suman returned to the country. Her gallery was behind on rent. Creditors came to collect, and her credit card was overdue. Guiyu Qingyang, while holding me and saying the company was in a difficult situation, transferred the money he had gotten from me to Suman's account. Even more ironically, on the same evening of the transfer, he took me out for a dinner to celebrate our wedding anniversary. He gave me a bouquet of flowers. I was using my supplementary card. The day before the opening of the exhibition, I went to Mancha Art Space, not as Lu Qinga. Instead, I was acting as a partner assisting with the capital risk check for Hehang Bank. Ling Jing arranged for 2 staff members to accompany me. When Suman saw me, she clearly got flustered for a moment, but soon she put on a weak, gentle smile again. Sister Qing, what are you doing here? Does Qingyang know? I looked around. White walls, spotlights, floral arrangements, champagne tower. Everywhere cost a fortune. Everywhere it was written, my dowry. I said, come see what my money has turned into. Her expression changed slightly. A staff member next to her looked over. Suman immediately lowered her voice. Qing, do you have to speak like that? Changyang helped me because I'm his choice. If you want to blame someone, blame me, not make things difficult for him. Of course I blame you. She froze. She didn't expect that I would be so direct. I walked to the center of the exhibition hall and pointed at the sponsorship board on the wall. It read, "Special thanks to Mr. Zhu Chenyang for his strong support." How much do these words cost? Suman bit her lip. I don't understand what you mean. Promotion costs 500. 000. Venue expansion 8 million. Shop property rights 320. 000. Hospitalization costs 126. 000. 2 pieces of jewelry. Suman, do you not understand, or are you pretending not to understand? Her face turned pale. Those were all given to me by Qingyang. So you admit you accepted it? She reacted immediately and closed her mouth. I smiled a bit. Don't be nervous. Today isn't about arguing with you. I walked up to her. I'll come tomorrow for the opening. A trace of unease flashed in Suman's eyes. What do you want to do? Go see the exhibition. I paused for a moment. By the way, return my things. Her hand instinctively moved toward her wrist. That jade bangle was still there. I reached out and gently touched the bangle. This bangle was left to my mother by my grandmother, and my mother left it to me. Wearing someone else's heirloom jewelry, trying to look pitiful. Isn't that heavy enough? Suman's eyes reened. I truly don't know. Suman, I interrupted her. You don't know where the money comes from. You don't know whose jewelry it is. You don't know that Jiu Qingyang has a wife. Then what do you know? She was left speechless by my question. At that moment, Jiu Qingyang strode in from outside. Lu Qinga, he stepped in front of Suman. Are you coming to bully her again? Watching his protective stance, the last bit of pain in my heart faded. She took my money. Can I not ask for it back? Jiu Qingyang suppressed his anger. I said I would pay back the money. Why do you have to involve her in this? Because she is the recipient of the payment. She doesn't understand these things. She is 32, not 3. Suman gently tugged at his sleeve from behind. Qingyang, forget it. It's my fault. I shouldn't have held this exhibition, and I shouldn't have come back. Jiu Qingyang immediately turned around to comfort her. Don't say things like that. I watched this scene and only found it ridiculous. Su Xiang is right. When a man is biased, he can pretend not to know even basic law. Jiu Qingyang turned his head to look at me. Don't come to the painting exhibition tomorrow. I don't want you to cause a scene. I nodded. Then I'll definitely come. His gaze darkened. Lu Qinga, what exactly do you want to ruin? It's not that I want to ruin anything. I looked at the wall full of lights. It was your stolen money that built a false facade of respectability. I walked outside. When I reached the door, I heard Swan crying softly. Qingyang, will she never forgive us, no matter what? Ganyang said, she just cares about me too much. My steps paused for a moment, and then I laughed so far. He still thinks I am being jealous. Fine by me. The deeper the misjudgment, the higher you climb, the harder the fall. That night at Good Chinese Company annual party, I originally didn't want to go, but he sent a message himself. Tonight is a must. The company partners will be there, and you're still Mrs. Gu. Don't make me look bad. I looked at the three characters, Mrs. Gu, and found it ironic when he needs me to hold the scene together. I am Mrs. Gu when he stole my dowry. I was just a sensible woman who should know better. I still went because Ling Jing told me that Ganyang would announce new project financing at the annual meeting. And in that financing materials, my dowry account certificate was still tucked inside. He hasn't stopped yet. The banquet hall was brightly lit. Ganyang stood on the stage in high spirits. He said Gusha Technology was about to new growth, thanking his family for their support and thanking a special friend who brought inspiration during the trough. The applause erupted from the audience. Swan walked onto the stage in a light gold gown. She wasn't wearing pearls around her neck, nor was she wearing jade on her wrist, the diamond earrings on her ears. I still recognized them. Dowry list item number 19. I stood behind the crowd, holding a glass of water, quietly watching. Zhu Chenyang looked at me, his gaze softening a little. He thought I had come again, still keeping face for him. The host smiled and said, Mr. Zhu and Mrs. Gu have always had a good relationship. Mrs. Gu is also on site today. Why no shall I invite Mrs. Zhu to come up on stage and say a few words? Someone in the audience immediately turned around to look for me. Giu Qingyang did not refuse. He even raised his hand slightly, signaling me to go up. I put the water cup down and walked onto the stage. Just as I stood still, Sumin suddenly swayed to one side and fell into Jiu Chongyayan's embrace. Gu Chenyang immediately studied her. The people downstairs whispered to each other. Sumin's face turned pale. Sorry, it might be my low blood sugar. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Sister Qing, don't be angry. I didn't do it on purpose. Once this sentence came out, the situation changed. It seems that I did nothing. Yet, I have become the villain who forced her to fall. Jiu Chengyang frowned at me. Qingha, man isn't well. Don't look at her with that kind of look. I laughed. What kind of look is that? He lowered his voice. Today there are so many people. Don't cause trouble. I took the microphone. The banquet hall fell silent. I looked at the partners, staff, relatives, and friends in the audience. If the host asked me to say a few words, I'll say a few words. Jiu Chongyayan's expression changed slightly. Chinga. I clear's throat ignored him. The first sentence. Mr. Jiu Qingyang just now thanked his family for their support. As his legal wife, I did indeed support him. Over the past 3 years, Gu Family Technology had at least 4 temporary revolving funds sourced from my personal premarital assets. Whispers rose from the audience. Ganyang reached out to take the microphone. I stepped back a pace. The second sentence, Mr. Go thanks the special friend MS Saman, which can also be understood because in the past half year, 7 funds from my Dowry account under my name have flowed to Ms. Swan or her managed Mana Art Space, totaling 1576000. The blood drained from Suman's face. Genjing lowered his voice and growled. Luing her, I raised my hand. The banquet hall's big screen suddenly lit up. It wasn't me operating it. Shin Shitang had already communicated with the hotel technical team in advance, providing legally valid account, funding, explanation materials for my own account on the large screen. 7 transfer transactions appeared in sequence. I redacted some sensitive information, leaving only the date, amount, recipient, and remarks. The audience below the stage exploded in laughter. Isn't this plagiarizing his wife's dowry? Didn't Suman say she started her own business independently earlier? Mr. Jiu said the new financing was secured. Could it also be relying on his wife's money? Jiu Chong Yen's face turned to ash, and Su Man began to tremble. That's not it. Chengyang, you explain. I looked at her. Miss Su, didn't you say you didn't know where the money came from? Well, now you know. She shook her head, tears streaming down. I really don't know. I thought it was Chongyayan's personal funds. So, what about the earrings? I pulled out the photo of the dowry list. Number 19, diamond. The earrings are premarital property. Do you also think he bought them? Sumin instinctively covered her ears. This move was faster than any explanation. Someone in the audience laughed. Jiu Qingyang finally couldn't bear it any longer and grabbed the microphone. Enough. Lu Chinga, do you want to make our family matters a spectacle at the company annual meeting? I looked at him when you put my money into the company's financing materials. Why didn't you say it was family matters? He paused in his breath. Someone from the audience rose to their feet. Mr. Gu is the personal asset proof in the financing documents authorized by Mrs. Gu. Gu Qingyang did not answer. Silence felt like a slap in the face. The man's expression immediately changed. If there is a dispute over ownership of the funds, we need to reassess the collaboration risk. Gu Qingyang grew anxious. General Manager Wang, this is just a small misunderstanding between husband and wife. I said, it isn't a misunderstanding. I have applied to Hehang Bank for evidential preservation. Upon hearing the 4 characters, Hehang Bank, the scene fell quiet again, and Jiu Qingyang looked at me. What is your relationship with Hehang? I didn't answer, not until the final reveal. I put the microphone back on the rack. The 3rd sentence, and also the last sentence. I watched Ganyang starting tonight. Gushy Technology is not allowed to submit any asset proofs in my name to the outside. Otherwise, I will report to the police. After I finished speaking, I stepped off the stage behind me. Swan cried out, Ching Haijie, why are you forcing me like this? I stopped and turned back. Swan, don't call me elder sister. I looked at her. My mom only gave birth to me, an only daughter, and I don't have a sister as good at spending other people's dowies as you. The scene fell silent. I turned and left the banquet hall. When I reached the door, Zhu Qingyang chased after me. He stopped me with a single grab. Are you satisfied? The partners all left and the company will be questioned tomorrow. I looked at him. Then you should ask yourself why the company's dignity relies on stolen money. His eyes first showed a hint of panic. Chinga, you can't really ruin me. I said, I didn't ruin you. I pushed his hand away from the door frame. I'm just stopping you from being helped. After the annual party, the partners of Jiu Chang's company indeed began to withdraw. The first to come was him that morning. He took the company's finance officer and the lawyers to Hehang Bank. I sat in the mediation room next door, watching him through the one-way glass. This is not for humiliating him. It's because I am the account holder involved in the case and the applicant for the bank risk review. Ling Jing stood beside me. Are you sure you don't step out now? I said, let's first hear what he has to say. In the mediation room, Jiu Chong Yayan's face looked grim. His lawyer spoke first. We believe this is an internal financial arrangement during the couple's cohabitation should not escalate into a financial risk event. Mr. Go and Ms. Lu remain married, and Mr. Go has reasonable authority to act on behalf. Zhang Jing's colleague pushed the document over. First, the account was opened before the marriage registration. Second, the account clearly indicates premarital personal property. Third, the premarital agreement states that any disposition must be confirmed in writing by Ms. Lu herself. Fourth, there is a dispute over the handwriting on the existing authorization documents, which has entered the appraisal process. Genjiang wore a calm expression. Where is Lu Chinga? Let her come out, the staff member said. Ms. Lu has entrusted us to conduct a risk review. She has entrusted someone. Jiu Qingyang sneered. What risk review? Does she understand? She's just sulking. Your bank cannot cooperate with her to cause marital conflict. The staff did not get angry. Mr. Gu, the bank only recognizes documents and procedures. Genjiang slammed the table. And I'll tell you this as well. If Hai continues to freeze Gu's credit, I will complain that you're maliciously pulling out loans. Lin Jing pushed the door open and went in. As soon as she walked in, the mediation room fell silent. Jiu Chengyang obviously recognized her, head of legal at Hehang Bank. Lin Jing in the financial circle. Her name carries more weight than many bosses. Lin Jing sat down. Her tone steady. Mr. Gu Hai is not calling in loans. We are pausing in accordance with risk control rules. The asset proof you submitted involves third-party personal property, and the authorization has serious defects. Until this is clarified, any further disbursement will increase the risk. Jiu Qingyang gritted his teeth. President Lin, my wife is being unreasonable. Are you also going along with her mischief? Lin Jing looked up. Mr. Jiu, Please choose your words carefully. He took a deep breath. I am married to Chinga. I can handle her emotions. Is it too much for you to block my company now? Ling Jing pushed another document over. Mr. Ju, you may have misunderstood. It is not MS Lu's emotions that trigger the risk control, but your document. Ganyang stared at her. What exactly do you want? Return the funds, supplement the factual statements, and submit to the investigation. What if I don't agree? Ling Jing's tone remained unchanged. The bank will hand over to the legal department and submit the abnormal materials to the regulator according to the procedure. Giu Chong Yan's face changed completely. He finally realized that she wasn't throwing a tantrum at home. This was the moment the process started. He was silent for a long time, then suddenly asked, "What benefits did Lu Chinga actually give you?" Ling Jing looked at him, her eyes turning cold. Mr. Gu Lu Chinga does not need to give Hehang any benefits. She paused for a second. She is one of the ultimate beneficiaries of Hibbing Holdings Trust, and a member of the board audit committee in the mediation room. The coffee cup in Jiu Chang's hand suddenly shook. The coffee spilled onto the loan application. The brown liquid slowly spread like the dignity cracked on his face. His voice tightened. "What did you say?" Ling Jing repeated. "Ms. Lu has the right to require the bank to conduct the highest level of risk review for the accounts under her name." Giu Chengyang stiffened there. Through the glass, I saw his eyes shift from shock to panic, then from panic to awkwardness. He finally remembered that I had once mentioned Hehang before the marriage. I said that my mother, while alive, had some bank-related assets, and I needed to sign documents regularly. He said nonchalantly at the time, "You girls always like to make financial management sound complicated." I did not explain. Now he finally realizes that that wasn't about financial management. Jiu Qingyang stood up abruptly. "Lu Chinga is next door." "Right." I pushed the door open when he saw me. His eyes almost burned. "Have you been hiding it from me all along?" I sat calmly. "What are you keeping from me?" "Hi Hang Bank. You clearly have this background. Why don't you tell me?" I looked at him. "I told you my mother left me some financial assets." "That's a bank." "So what?" He was at a loss for words. I said, "So once you know you won't steal my Dowry anymore, or will you steal it more carefully?" His face alternated. Between Shay was pale and white. "Lu Chinga, you treat me as an outsider." I smiled. "You treat me like an ATM." No one spoke in the mediation room. Jiu Chong Yayan's lawyer cleared his throat. "Ms. Lu, since you have such financial means, Mr. Goose's use of some funds to help a friend may not be clearly malicious in intent. There's no need for a couple to go to the criminal level." I turned my head to look at him. "I have money, so if he steals from me, it doesn't count as stealing." The lawyer was choked. I put the 3 documents on the table. First, the prenuptial agreement. Second, the fund flow. Third, the forged authorization document. "Genjiang, you have 2 choices now. Return all the funds and jewelry within 3 days, and I'll reserve the right to pursue the matter, or you can continue to drag it out and we'll go through the judicial process." Giu Qingyang stared at me. "Must you do this?" I nodded. "Yes." His tone suddenly softened. "Chinga, we'll talk when we get home. You can't treat me like this in front of outsiders. There are no outsiders here." I looked at Ling Jing. This is the place to deal with problems. Jiu Qingyang closed his eyes as if finally letting go of his pride. "I admit I didn't handle this well, but Sumin is really in a difficult situation. Her father owes debts. She's blocked at the door by debt collectors, and she almost couldn't go on. I just wanted to give her a hand. Use my Dowry. I thought you wouldn't care." This sentence is harsher than I was wrong. I looked at him. "Don't you think I don't care?" I said it word by word. "You think I don't dare to care?" He fell silent. The answer is already clear. Before leaving the bank, Ling Jing formally handed him the risk letter. When Jiu Qingyang took it, his fingers turned pale. I reached the door. And he suddenly called me back. "Qinghai." I turned around. He stood under the lamp. His voice, "When did you become like this?" I looked at him. "From the moment I found out that you never really knew me. After Giu Qingyang learned my identity. The Gu family's attitude changed very quickly, so fast that it was ridiculous. Xiao Yu brought Guan home, carrying a bird's nest, fruits, and a red brocade box in her hand. The doorbell rang 3 times before I opened the door. When she saw me, a smile immediately spread across her face. Qinghai, Mom is here to see you. I stood at the door and didn't move aside. Mrs. Gue, we're not that familiar with each other. Xiao Yumei's smile stiffened a bit. Gu Xiaoan whispered softly, what are you pretending for? Xiao Yu immediately pinched her arm. Shut up. Then she handed over the brocade box. These are the pearl necklaces. Mom already had Man take them off. See, the things are yours. Let's not quarrel anymore. I opened the box and took a look. It was a pearl necklace, but the clasp had been replaced. Where's the original clasp? Xiao Yes' face went pale. What clasp? The clasp is engraved with the character. She stammered. Guaran couldn't help but say, it's just a clasp. If Sister Swan wears it uncomfortably, what's wrong with changing it? I closed the box, so it's not returned in its original form. Xiao Yumei grew anxious. Chinga, don't be so pedantic. Changyang has slimmed down these days for the company. You two as a couple, do you really want to watch him fall? I looked at her. Is he falling because I recover my money? You know full well that Goose is now inseparable from Haihang's loan. That's the Gu family's problem. Xiao Yumei could no longer hold herself back. How can you be so cruel? You have a bank. You have money. Can't you help him? When you married into the Gu family, we didn't complain that your mother's family had no one to support them. I heard this and laughed. Didn't you guys complain that my maternal family has no one backing us? I turned around, took the account book from the cabinet, and threw it onto the coffee table. So, what have you done for me all these 3 years? Xiao Yu looked at the account book, and her expression gradually changed. I turned to the first page. Your medical checkups, recuperation, and beauty club memberships add up to 1860. Second page, Gu Shiren's car loan, remaining tuition for study abroad and credit card repayments, total 72,000. Page 3, Uncle's investment failed and I covered 2 million. Page 4, Gu house renovation, 400,000. Each time I read a page, the living room grew quiet for a moment. Gaian's face reened. Xiao Yes' lips trembled. These are all voluntary on your part. I nodded. So I didn't ask for it before. Now you've touched my dowry and forced me to sign a letter of apology. So we'll settle it all at once. Xiao Yumei sat down abruptly, her tone softening. Chinga, Mommy was wrong. I used to speak harshly, but I did it for this family. You and Changyang have feelings for each other. Right. He cares about you. Men are just prone to confusion. I watch her. What I feared most before was her saying, for this family. That sentence was like a net, squeezing all my grievances back inside. Now I only feel repulsion. I won't sacrifice myself for the Jew family again. Xiao Yumei's eyes reened. So what about Changyang? He's been proud since he was young. If the company is ruined, he will be ruined, too. I asked in return. When he stole my money, did he ever consider whether I would be ruined? She couldn't speak at that moment. Hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Jiao Qingyang arrived. He saw Xiao Yumei sitting in my house's living room, his face turning grim. Mom, why did you come? Xiao Yumei looked like she had found a lifeline. Qingyang, you and Qinga should talk properly. She's soft-hearted. You beg her. Jiao Chengyi looked at me after a few days apart. He indeed looks haggard. His chin has a bluish stubble, and the bloodshot eyes are obvious. He was silent for a long time, then suddenly walked up to me. Then, in the astonished gazes of Xiao Yu and Jiao Xiaoan, he knelt on one knee. Qinghai, I was wrong. Jiao Xiaoan cried out. Brother, I didn't move. Junyang looked up at me. I shouldn't have touched your dowry. I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have let Swan wear your jewelry. Give me one chance, and I will make it right. I watch him how to compensate. He grips hope. I can transfer part of the company's equity to you in the future. Handle the family finances. I will also keep my distance from Suman. Keep your distance. He paused. I asked, are you still not planning to have her repay the money? Giyu Chongyan's face stiffened. She can't pay it back right now. I laughed even on my knees. I knelt. Still need to preserve Swan. Xiao Yu hurriedly said, Man, can take it slow over there first. Saving Chengyang Company is more urgent. I looked at Giu Chengyang. So, you're not here to admit fault today, but to have me continue to back you up. His anxious, no, it's just that things have to be prioritized with you. Swan is always more urgent than me. He opened his mouth, but did not argue. I pointed at the door. Stand up, take your mother and sister and go. Jiao Qingyang didn't move. Qingha, I hate dirty things. All the blood rushed from his face the moment these 3 words fell. Xiaoyu Mei suddenly stood up. Lu Qingha, don't you have any shame? I picked up the phone. Madam Jiao, I have the front door surveillance here. If you insult me one more time, I will call the police and say you trespassed on private property and harassed and threatened me. Her throat seemed strangled. Jiao Qingyang slowly stood up. He looked at me with a complex gaze. Do you really not love me anymore? I said, I have loved before. A flash of light appeared in his eyes. I continued, but that is not a get out of jewel slipper. After the door closed, I leaned against the door frame and slowly exhaled a breath. Not feeling bad would be fake. Feeling bad is not remorse. Half an hour later, Ling Jing called. Chinga, Suman's account just applied for a large foreign exchange transaction. Destination is Singapore. I stood up. Is she running? Very likely. I looked at the ledger on the table and the evidence bag. Then, she won't be able to run. When Samanua opened, more people came than I had imagined. She knows how to package herself well in the poster. She stands by a window in a white dress with the words, A woman rebuilds herself in the ruins. I read that line and almost burst out laughing. Using other people's dowies to decorate the showroom. Using other people's jewels to prop up the facade. Selling deep feelings with someone else's husband. She really dares to talk about rebuilding. When I arrived at the scene, Jiao Qingyang was already there. He saw me and came over immediately, lowering his voice. Qinghai, don't make a scene today. Suman has already agreed to pay back gradually. I asked, did she promise you or did she promise me? He frowned. Don't be aggressive. I come for money, and you call it being aggressive. She takes money to run an exhibition, and you call it rebuilding a life. Gue Chongyan's expression turned ugly at this moment. Suman walked over amid a crowd of reporters. Today she wore a black gown with a refined makeup looking not frail, but like a victor. When she saw me, a trace of panic flashed in her eyes, but she quickly composed her expression. Sister Chinga, thank you for coming. I said, you're welcome. After all, I'm one of the major investors. The surrounding reporters immediately looked over. Swan's expression stiffened. Jiao Chengyang stepped in front of me. Lu Chinga. I moved past him and looked toward the entrance of the exhibition hall. Ling Jing and Xu Shitong walked in one after another. There are 2 notaries still behind us. Suman's expression finally changed. She lowered her voice. What are you bringing these people here for? I watch her inspect the exhibition. Tally. Gather evidence. Ganyang snapped. Are you crazy? There are media here. I said, perfect timing. The showroom lights come on, and the host begins to introduce Suman's experiences. Ms. Suman has endured family upheavals and career slumps, but she didn't give up. Through her own efforts, she founded Munsa Art Space. When I heard the words, through her own efforts, I raised my hand to indicate to Xu Xiang. In the next moment, the side screen of the showroom lights up. Not bank transfer records, but the funding source statement of Mantime Art Space. Each item corresponds to an invoice contract and payment account. Venue expansion 8 million. Rent 960 million. Commercial shop property rights 32,000. Advertising expense 5,000. Jewelry wearing not returned. All payment sources. Lu Chinga's prenuptial dowry account. The scene was in an uproar. The host's voice stuck. The reporters' cameras all swiveled to Swan. Suman's face turned pale. It's not like that. That money was lent to me by Chunyang. I didn't know it belonged to her. I stepped forward. You don't know. I asked Xu Zhang to open the next file. That was Suman and Giu Chongyin's chat records. It wasn't stolen by me. It was Gyu Chang's company's finance team who, when submitting the funds explanation, accidentally uploaded part of the chat screenshots to the banking system as proof of use. Genjiang once messaged Swan, "I'll handle things on Chinga's side. She's soft-hearted and won't pursue it." Suman replied, "Will she find out? After all, it's the dowry her mother left her." Gue Qingyang answered, "Don't worry, she doesn't care about money." The scene fell incredibly silent. Suman's lips trembled. "This is not the full dialogue," I said. "So, you know." She shook her head, tears welling up. "I'm just too scared. I've been forced by the creditor and have no way out." Changyang said he would handle it. "I thought you and your husband had already discussed it. So, you're planning to exchange foreign currency to go abroad this afternoon as well. You've already discussed that too." Sumin suddenly looked up. Jiao Qingyang also looked at her in shock. "Are you leaving?" Sumin panicked. "I'm not. I just want to go out for a walk." Ling Jing handed the bank risk notice to the notary. "There is a risk of disputed funds transfer in MS Su's account and the relevant materials have been submitted. The journalist keeps taking photos." Someone whispered, "Is she planning to run off with the money?" Mrs. Gu is really miserable. Her husband steals money to support his first love. I was still insisting on relying on myself just now. Sumin finally collapsed. She rushed in front of Gyu Chengyang, grabbing his sleeve. "Chengyang, please help me explain. All that money was you, not something I stole." When this sentence came out, Jiu Chongyan's face changed. He finally understood. Swan didn't want to share the burden with him. She wanted to push the responsibility onto him. Jiu Qingyang looked at her. His voice, "Did you know all along that Chin? He belongs to Qinghai." Swan cried, "So what if I know? You said she doesn't care. You said you would solve it." Jiu Qingyang, "If it weren't for you always saying you love me, would I have ever accepted this?" The scene exploded once again. I stand to the side watching them tugging at each other. This is the person I once feared losing. Someone stealing my money proves deep affection. Someone taking my money proves they deserve to be loved. Both are ridiculous. Ganyang suddenly turned his head to look at me. There was panic in his eyes along with remorse and a kind of embarrassment that comes after finally seeing clearly Chinga. I interrupt him. "Don't call me." Shu Xiang handed the lawyer's letter to Su Man Ms. Su. "This is a property restitution notice. You continued to collect and transfer funds despite knowing there were issues with the source of funds. We will pursue recovery in accordance with the law." Sumin took the documents, his hands trembling violently. "I have no money to repay." I looked toward the exhibition hall, then start from here. The notary started counting the exhibition hall assets. Sun Man tried to block, but was stopped by staff. She suddenly shouted at me, "Lu Chinga, you have everything. You have a bank. You have money. You have nerve. Why do you still want to grab Qingyang?" "I have nothing. I just want to live a little better." I looked at her. I didn't snatch it. I point at Jinyang. "This man. You want it. You can take it." Gue Chongyan's face instantly turned pale. "I keep talking, but you must pay back every penny of my money." After the art exhibition, Jiao Qingyang spoke up for Swan for the first time and did not say a word on her behalf. When he came to see me, he held that wedding ring in his hand. That day was Monday, and there were a lot of people at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Some people registered their marriages with smiles. Some waited with red eyes for the divorce cooling-off period. I stood at the bottom of the steps with Shu Shitong beside me. Jiu Chengyang walked over his voice like never before. "Chinga, let's talk," I said. "I've already given the agreement to your lawyer." He clenched the ring. "I'm not here to discuss a deal. I don't have time for that." I turned to leave, and he hurriedly said, "I broke up with Swan." I stopped. He looked as if he had finally found a useful word. "Really, I've had her move out of the gallery and cut off all contact. She lied to me, and she knew from the beginning where the money came from." I turned to look at him. "So what?" He froze. I said, "You found out she was lying to you, too, and you want to come back to me." His face turned pale. "No, I just now understand who is truly good to me." If this sentence had been said 3 years ago, I might have cried now. It just feels cheap. "Gwen," I look at him. "I'm nice to you. Not so that you'll look back after you've been cheated by someone else and realize his eye sockets were a bit red. I admit I'm in, but our 3-year marriage isn't fake. Do you remember the night when my business failed and we sat by the roadside eating wontons? You said that as long as I didn't give up, you would stay with me. I surely haven't forgotten that night. He was humiliated by the investors. His shirt was soaked with alcohol, and he sat alone by the roadside saying nothing. I bought 2 bowls of wontons and stayed with him from late at night until dawn back then. I believed that companionship would be appreciated, only later did. I realized that some people only remember that you stayed with them through the hardship, but forget that you shouldn't use your kindness to support others. I said, I'm with the person who didn't steal my money. Gu Chenyang was speechless. Xu Xiang handed over the divorce agreement. Mr. Gu, the contents of the agreement are clear. Premarital property belongs to MS Liu, and the involved funds will be pursued separately. Post-marital, jointly owned property will be divided according to actual contributions. The debts of the company under your name have nothing to do with MS Liu. Ju Chenyang didn't take it. He looked at me. Are you sure you want to leave? Yes. Is there no room for negotiation? None. He forced a smile. Is it because you never loved me in the first place? I shook my head. No. His eyes lit up again. I said, because I have loved. I cannot allow you to crush that love into mud. The ring in his hand. Something fell to the ground with a crisp sound. I didn't go to pick it up. Jiao Qingyang bent down and picked it up, his fingers trembling. Chinga, give me another chance. I'll pay back the money. I'll deal with Sumin, and I'll also make my mother apologize on her side. It's too late. Why? I took out a copy of the prenuptial agreement. This agreement you've signed. Then I produced a forged authorization document. This signature you've consented to. Finally, I presented the cleaned transcript of the family banquet recording. You've endured this humiliation. I looked at him. Ganyang, betrayal doesn't happen overnight. It's something that slowly accumulates as you choose others, choose benefits, and choose deceit again and again. He finally couldn't say a word. Just then, his phone rang. He took a look and his expression changed. It was Su Man. He hesitated for a moment, then answered. I saw his hesitation and suddenly felt that this conversation could end. On the other end of the line, Swan's voice was so sharp that even I could hear it. Genjiang, you can't push all the responsibility onto me. You transferred the money. You had the authorization made by finance. Aunt Xiao knows it too. I have chat records in my hands. If you don't protect me, I will expose everything. Ju Chongyayan's face turned pale. Swan, stay calm. I chuckled. Xu Xiang looked at me. I said, let's go. Ju Chengyi hung up and overtook me. Chinga, let me explain it to you. I did not look back explain it to the court. That afternoon, Xu Shitang officially submitted the divorce lawsuit materials and the claim for property recovery. At the same time, Hiang Bank also handed over the abnormal materials to the legal procedures. Genjiang tried to contact me. I blocked his phone calls. I blocked him on WeChat. I forwarded his emails to the lawyer. In the evening, I returned to the wedding apartment and found a large bouquet of roses at the door. The card read, China, I still love you. I threw the flowers into the trash. The next day, the property management told me that Mr. Gu had been standing downstairs all night. I said, from now on, he is not allowed to enter the community. The property asked, are you sure? I looked out the window. Sure. On the day of court mediation, all 3 people were present. Jiao Qingyang, Su Man Xiao Yui. They sat in the same row, yet none of them looked at each other. So ironic. They were united in opposition to me before. Now that the responsibility has fallen, everyone wants to dodge it. The mediator first confirmed the marital relationship. Gu Chang's voice was low. I don't agree to divorce. I said, I insist on divorcing. The mediator looked at him. Mr. Gu Lu has submitted more complete materials on property infringement and emotional breakdown. If the 2 sides cannot mediate, the case will enter the trial process. Genjiang looked at me. Chinga, I am willing to return the funds. I asked all of it. He paused. I can only pay part of it for now. Xu Xiang spoke up. Mr. Gu, it has been determined that the funds flowing to MS Sumin and Manshaw art space amount to 15,760,000 excluding jewelry discounts and interest. What portion do you mean by a part? Genjiang fell silent. Xiao Yu couldn't help but say, we can repay 3 million first and take our time with the rest. Qingyi clears throat, don't be too ruthless. I didn't look at her. Xu Xiang answered on my behalf. Ms. Xiao, the renovation costs for the Gu family ancestral home, your personal expenses and Garen's loan are all within the scope of separate actions for recovery. Xiao Yes' face changed drastically. That was her paying filial piety to me. I finally looked at her. I'm paying you respect. So you help your son write an explanation to transfer my dowry. She opened her mouth. Sumin suddenly sneered. Aunt Xiao, please don't pretend. Now, that explanation was originally the one you asked me to reassure you about taking the money. You said Chinga's temper is soft and Changyang can coax her with a couple of words and it'll be fine. Xiaoyu Mei suddenly turned her head. Swan, you're talking nonsense. Swan took a stack of printouts from her bag. Whether I'm talking nonsense. Everyone look at the chat records. She slapped the paper on the table. Above is her conversation with Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu said, Manswen, you rest assured and use it. Ching her over there. I'll handle it. Once a woman marries in, the money belongs to the in-laws. Swan replied, will she check? Xiaoyu said, she dare not. She loves Qingyang so much that she has no backbone. I read that sentence. There was no pain as imagined, only a feeling of nausea. Xiaoyu Mei lunged forward to grab the paper, but the staff stopped her. Jiu Chenyang snapped. That's enough. Do you still think it's not embarrassing enough? Sumin looked at him, crying. Giu Chenyang, you were the one who didn't protect me first. Now you want to go back and beg Lu Qinga and push me out in the process. That's not possible. Giu Chenyang gritted his teeth. Money isn't for me alone. You took some, too. It was given to me. You know that money belongs to her. Your mom knows too. The three of them erupted into a quarrel on the spot. The mediator tapped the table. Please keep order. I sat opposite, quietly, handing over each new piece of evidence to Xu Shitang. This mutual sniping came faster than I expected. When interests can still be shared, they are affectionate, familial, and grateful. When responsibility must be shouldered, they are more clear-eyed than anyone. Before the mediation ends, Jiu Chenyang finally collapses. He stands up, his eyes swollen and red as he looks at me. Lu Qinga, are you just going to watch them ruin me like this? I look up. It's not them who ruined you. I placed that forged authorization document on the table. From the moment you personally signed the first step, you had already ruined yourself. Elf. His voice trembled. I just want to help Sumin. I never meant to hurt you. And every step you take hurts me. I know I was wrong. Knowing you're wrong doesn't mean you don't have to pay the price. He suddenly circled the table and tried to take my hand. Shuji Tong stepped in front of me. Mr. Jiu, please behave yourself. Giu Qingyang stopped. His hand stiffened in midair. I watched that hand. It once put a wedding ring on me, took money from my account, supported Swan, and blocked me. Now it can't grab onto anything. Genjiang chased to the doorway when leaving the court. The rain was falling heavily. He didn't use an umbrella, standing on the steps and watching me. Qingha, this is the last time. I beg you, don't call the police. I'm holding up an umbrella. Genjiang, the process has started. It's not something you can stop just by begging me. His voice was, do you really not miss a single old feeling at all? I said, replenish it. He looked up. I continued, so, I gave you 3 days to return it. You took it to Bawman. His eyes suddenly darkened. I turned to get into the car before the car door closed. He shouted, Qinghai, I regret it. The rainfall was heavy, but I heard it. I did not turn back. The day the divorce decree came down, the weather was nice. Sunlight fell on the steps at the courthouse entrance, bright and blinding. Xu Xiang handed me the documents. Congratulations. You're back to being single. I took those pages. I didn't feel like crying. There was no intention to laugh. I just felt a bit lighter on the shoulders. The judgment confirms that the relationship has broken down and grants the divorce premarital property is my personal property. Ganyang must return the portion of the legally transferred funds that is under his control and domination. And Sumin bears the responsibility to return the portion actually received and used for jewelry. Original materials that can be returned should be refunded, or compensation for depreciation should be paid if they are damaged or cannot be returned in kind. Relatives of the Gu family's borrowings will be handled in another case, and several parties have voluntarily repaid already. Guyan's company is being re-evaluated by multiple partners due to issues with the source of funds. He did not go completely bankrupt, but he lost the most core project. Sumin's gallery closed, accounts under her name were frozen, and the plan to leave the country failed. Xiaoyu moved out of the therapeutic apartment, and Jiu Xiaoan sold the car to pay off debts. None of this was a dramatic sky-falling catastrophe, but it was the most real cost in reality. Money should go back to where it came from. Whoever caused the responsibility should bear it. When leaving the courthouse, Jiu Qingyang and others were outside. He had lost a lot of weight. The suit was still expensive, but there was no longer with the same certainty as before. He saw me and walked over. Chinga. I stopped. Shu Xiang stood beside me without urging. Jiu Qingyang handed me a small box. The buckle has been found. I opened it. Inside is the original clasp of the pearl necklace. That small he character is still there. Only the edge has scratches. I closed the lid of the box. Leave it to my lawyer. He forced a smile. Are you now unwilling to even touch what I give you? This is not what you gave me. I looked at him. This is mine. He palled at this remark. After a long time, he whispered, Sumin and I are completely over. I didn't say a word. He went on. My mom knows she was wrong, too. A few days ago, she asked me if she could invite you to come home for a meal. I smiled. Ganyang, do you guys at the Gu family still think that as long as you admit your mistake, I should go back? He shook his head hastily. No, I just want to see you again. Now you've seen me. I turned around to leave. Then he suddenly said, China, do we really have no chance left? I turned back under the sunlight. His eye sockets were clearly red. If it were in the past, my heart would soften. I would think that he wouldn't have an easy life either. I would think 3 years of marriage shouldn't be abandoned lightly. I would think people make mistakes. But now I know that a soft heart without boundaries is like handing over a knife. I said, no, his Adam's apple bobbed. Will you think of me someday? Yeah. He stiffened. It ended. I said, thinking of you serves as a reminder to myself not to bestow love upon someone who lacks respect. He was dealt a hard slap in the face, stood there, and couldn't utter a single word. I got into the car. Shu Shi Tang sat in the front passenger seat, heaving a long sigh. Does it feel good? I look out of the window. It doesn't feel good. She looks at me. I said, it's finally not congested anymore. The car drove past the courthouse gates. Gue Chong Yin's figure faded into the distance. He didn't chase after. I can't catch up anymore. A month later, I moved into a new home. The house isn't big, but every item was handpicked by me. There's no trace of Ju Chongyayan's perfume in the living room, no sign of Gujo's phone, and no shadow of Swan. I reorganized the jewelry my mother left behind. That pearl necklace has been repaired. I didn't wear it. I put it in the safe along with the Dowry list, not out of nostalgia, but as a reminder. What my mother gave me was never just money. It was a way out, a bottom line, the ability to prevent anyone from swallowing my life. Jiang Jing asked me to go to Hiang for a meeting. In the meeting room, a new round of audit system revisions is underway. I sat at one end of the long table looking at the risk processes on the screen and suddenly recalled that Genjiang once said I didn't understand banking. At that time, to avoid hurting his pride, I just smiled and walked away. Not anymore. I won't shrink myself for anyone's pride again. After the meeting ended, Liang Jing asked me, what do you want to do next? I thought for a moment, first take care of the things left by my mother, then go and see the sea over the weekend. I went to the seaside alone. The wind was strong, blowing my hair about. I walked along the beach for a long time. There was no message from Gujar on the phone, no payment reminders, no epalazi, no crying and complaining. It was as quiet as if I had come back to life in the evening. I received a message from Xu Xiang. Suman agreed to compensate in installments. Jiu Chunyang also signed the enforcement settlement. You won. I looked at the words you won and smiled. Actually, I didn't win against them. It was the me who once feared leaving, feared being told. I was immature and feared the marriage failing. I put my phone back into my bag and kept walking forward. The waves rolled in layer after layer and then pulled back again, like the people you chose wrongly in life. The grievances you've suffered and the embarrassment you've endured, they will all fade away. They will all retreat, as long as you no longer stand still waiting for them to turn.